Hi you guys, and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I thought that it would be fun to create a Valentine's tumbler. This tumbler is going to be my own version of a peekaboo tumbler. I will try to list all the products that I use in the description box below. But before we get to this video, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button and subscribe to my channel if you're not already done so. So let's get into the video. Let's go. I'm starting with a fully prepped and sanded 20-ounce modern curve tumbler by Dope & Crafty that I have painted a basic red from Rustoleum. I'm using a pretty red glitter called Sleigh Ride by Vixen Glitter. I'll be using the epoxy method to apply the glitter. I have mixed about 10 ml of epoxy off camera, but of course I will not be using all of it. I let my tumbler sit in front of a space heater for a couple of minutes just to heat up the tumbler. I have found that this method allows the epoxy to spread more easily and evenly. So here I am applying the red glitter. As you can see, because the base of the tumbler is painted red, the red glitter is going on almost seamless. I was able to touch up a couple of spots with the fallen glitter, but I did not need to apply another full coat of glitter. So for this step, I noticed that since the glitter was a medium chunky, I felt that I needed to flatten the glitter by using a baby wipe. By flattening the glitter, this will allow me to use less coats of epoxy before moving on to the next steps. So after sealing the glitter with 2x matte clear by Rustoleum, I am now able to move on to my first layer of epoxy. For this layer, I applied about 20 ml. I like to apply my layers of epoxy very thin in order to minimize bubbles. Because I was able to flatten the glitter, you can see the epoxy is able to go on very smoothly in this layer. Right, so I actually applied 2 coats of epoxy to get it nice and smooth, because when you do a peekaboo, you want it to be nice and smooth, so when you apply the white paint, you don't have any bumps or any jagged edges on your glitter. So also, if you have seen my other video, I also took it outside and sanded the edges just to make sure I get those nice and smooth, and I also went ahead and cleaned the bottom and the inside as well. So now we're going to get ready to apply our heart decals. I'm going to show you how I did that in Cricut by explaining how they laid out on the page and how we're going to use that inset to create the heart for the peekaboo, and also take that outline shape and create that in a different color when we do the final design as well. All right, stay tuned. Some various hearts that I got off of Google, and I just converted them to SVG. So it's just the basic hearts, and you can just resize them to make them any size on your tumbler. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually just going to take the outline off. However, when we go back and create the inset, the outline for the different color vinyl, I think I'm going to use gold. We're actually going to use this outline to outline the peekaboo portion, just to give it a little bit more dimension. All right, so we're going to do that for each of these hearts. We have our outline for our hearts removed. We're going to begin placing the hearts on the tumbler portion. So what I'm going to do is just simply take a heart, and since I want to put a design in the middle, something, I think I'm going to have it say XOXO or something like that, I'm just going to leave a little space here, and just to make sure I don't go into that space, I'm going to take some tape and just kind of outline where I want to keep that space open at. I think this should be about enough because it's going to say XOXO. So let's just do a little more. It doesn't have to be perfect because I just want to leave enough space so when I apply some words, it's I haven't covered it up with hearts. I think this is about enough space right here, so enough space so when I apply some words, I'm not going into my space. So I think I'm gonna have it say XOXO. So I'm just gonna take a heart and just start placing it anywhere. And you wanna get this as flat as possible because you don't want it to bleed when you when you spray paint over this portion. So I'm just making sure I press these hearts down really well. Have all of our hearts placed, and remember we just left this portion right here open. And now we're going to get ready to go outside and spray paint over the hearts. So when I spray paint it white, we're still going to be able to see some type of indent on this portion. So when I do remove the hearts, you will see what I'm talking about in the next step. All right, so let's do it. Spray paint, I did want to mention, just make sure you tape off the top and the bottom like I like to do, just to leave some of that silver portion showing. And just to reiterate again, just make sure all these hearts are nice and flat, so when you spray paint, you don't have any bleeding. And we are just going to be using some Rustoleum 2x matte clear. I really like using this paint because it just gives me a smooth finish when I do my peekaboo tumblers. So I'm gonna go outside and do that, and I will be right back. Stay tuned. Right, so I have taken this outside and spray painted it, and you can see, let me see if I can get it to focus. I don't know if you can see the hearts in here under the spray paint. So I can clearly see them from here. So I have let this dry a considerable amount of time. I think I let it dry about 30 minutes because I am really clumsy and I just didn't want any paint getting anywhere. So when I do my peekaboos, I do not lay my tumbler down because with this white paint, I kind of want it to stay as pretty and pristine as possible. So this is the type of weeding pen that I use. I think I got these from Amazon. I will list the link below. So it has a really sharp tip. So what I'm gonna begin doing is I don't start outside of the heart. I actually start kind of on the side just to make sure I don't nick any paint. So what I'm gonna do is carefully lean the tumbler and just nick that heart and get it to lift. For it to lift, I kind of just take my fingernail and just see if I can just get it to continue to lift off. And maybe a little too sharp. Depends on where I grab the piece at, if I'm able to get it off in a whole piece or a little piece. But here's the heart being revealed. Here, if I just nick it at the end of it, at the pointy side of the heart, and just pull it upwards. That seems to work better. You can see I was able to get the whole thing off like that. So I'm going to speed this up, and I'm going to let you guys see me take the rest of the hearts off. So we are done removing all of the hearts. I did get a couple nicks here and there, but that's the easy fix. I'm just gonna touch it up with some of that flat spray paint. All right, so see how that pretty red glitter is coming through, and I really think it's a really nice contrast with the white background as well. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna let this dry for a couple hours, and then I'm gonna seal it with some 2x matte clear just to make sure this paint stays nice and smooth. And then I'm gonna start applying probably 1 or 2 coats of epoxy before we apply our final decals. All right, so we'll be back for the next step. All right, you guys, welcome back. So here we are. I have sealed this after we removed the decals from the heart to reveal this red glitter. And I have also touched up the spots that I nicked the white paint with. And I've also taped it with electrical tape because this is our first coat of epoxy. So here, I have mixed about 20 mLs of epoxy off camera to save time. And I've also sealed the tumbler with 2x matte clear. So what we're gonna do is just take our epoxy and just start applying it. I'm not trying to go really thick. What I'm doing now is just trying to get it covered, and then I'm just going to take some of this excess epoxy off. Bottom edge and just get it all nice and covered. This layer to be so thick, I'm just gonna take some of this excess epoxy off, because I like to have thin layers with my coats of epoxy. Just taking it off and just taking my glove and putting the excess back in the cup. about does it. So I'm gonna let this spin for about 4 hours to finish spinning and the epoxy to level out, and then I'm gonna let it cure overnight, and then we'll move on to our next step. All right, stay tuned. All right, you guys, for you new tumbler makers out there, I did want to point out what I have been doing with all my tumblers that are painted. I actually went to the dollar store and got this small Starlight tote clear, and I actually had my husband cut the back of it out. I also placed 2 wooden blocks on each side just to make it a little higher so the tote would not be touching the tumbler. And this works really, really well for me, just to keep my tumblers lint free, especially the ones that are painted. Although I do have a tumbler turner which has the lid and everything for this exact purpose, but for space issues, you know, I'm really lazy to pull that out. So this is a really quick solution just to keep my tumblers lint free for the ones that are painted. So I hope this helps someone. We're back. So I let the tumbler spin for about 12 hours overnight, and I actually just gave it 1 coat of epoxy, and it was able to cover the hearts exactly how I wanted it, so that we're able to proceed with applying the decal. So for the decal, I have chosen XOXO, and I actually did a offset in silhouette in gold, and then the foreground in red. You guys can see that. All right, and then also, if you remember from the previous step, so in order to do the outline on the hearts, I actually just took the same pattern. I kept the same shape in Cricut and just reprinted, recut this same design, and just took out the middle portion of the hearts so that I'm able to place the gold outline on the red portion. And I'm gonna mix it up with some small hearts and some gold hearts just to add some little bit of the dimension in between of the blank spaces. So as I said before, the XOXO will go right here, and then we'll go from there with designing the rest of the tumbler. So let's begin with placing some of the outline for the hearts on the tumbler. So what I did, I just cut a small square transfer paper, and I'm just gonna pick up one of the hearts. And I'm gonna choose the one that matches this heart, and it is this one here. And I'm just gonna line it up. On there correctly. So that's straight the way I want it. Excuse my head if it's in the camera. And then what I did is just line that gold outline on top of that red heart, and it lined up perfectly because, like I said, I just went back to the same file that I created in Cricut and just reprinted it again and just took out the middle portion. And we will remove the tape, and we have a perfect gold outline around that red heart, just like I wanted. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and speed this up and apply the rest of the gold outlines for the hearts, and then we will go from there. We are almost done with placing the outlines, but I think I'm just about done because I decided not to place some of the outlines for the hearts just to make it look a little different. And also I noticed that I had a little overlap, so we're just gonna fill in some of these little spaces with some gold and red hearts. But before we do that, we're gonna go ahead and add our decal so we know what we're working with. Alright, so I'm just going to lift my decal from the transfer paper, And it turned out so pretty because we have that gold we have the red decal outlined in the gold, and I think it just turned out really pretty. I'm having some trouble getting it from the transfer tape. So let me get that going. All right, so we left the spot in the middle. All right, it's focusing now on the decal, so we have that gold with the red in the foreground. So let's go ahead and place that XOXO. I think it looks good right here. Change method, but I'm trying to roll with it. Okay. So go ahead and get that placed down. My fingers, my thumb, and just making sure I got it really nice adhered to the cup, because when you're doing a double layer with vinyl, you want to make sure everything is laid down as flat as possible. And here we go. All right, so since we have that placed, we can go ahead and start placing some of our red and gold hearts around it. So like I said, I just kept that same pattern, and what I'm going to do is just take it from the transfer paper and just place some random hearts here and there. I'm going to mix it up with some gold. I'll put the gold on the other side so I can work with it from this side. Fun outlines too, because we have that same shape. The gold over here. Let's try putting an outline right here and see how that turns out. So, I'm going to get a small piece of transfer tape. I'm just going to grab one of the outlines. Oh, it looks so fun. Oh, that's really pretty. Okay. You're just going to have fun with it, so it just gave it a little bit more extra dimension when I did it here. So I think I'm going to do the same thing with a red outline on this one. this one. That was just so small. Those are really cool. I think I like the tiny ones with the outlines better than the larger ones. I'm gonna do the same thing with all the outlines. So we're just gonna add some more hearts around the tumbler. We're not trying to make it look too busy, just to add some different hearts here and there. Also, I'm just going to put some single outlines, just with no hearts in it. Maybe a red one somewhere. Gold one. I'm happy with it. So what we did, we just added some single hearts, and then I also just took some single outlines and just placed those on the cup as well, and then just some single hearts of the golden red as well. And I think they turned out really pretty. So if you can see that decal and then how all of our hearts are looking. I just didn't want everything to look so uniform and together, just to mix it up with some different patterns. So I think it just really turned out nice. So what I'm gonna do before we move on to our next step, I'm gonna seal the decal with CCDIY Quick Coat, so that actually allows, it's gonna keep my decals from lifting, because since I have so much metallic vinyl on here, I'm afraid that it will lift if I don't seal these decals in. So when I seal it, we'll be back with the next step. I'll probably go into epoxy in this with 2 coats of epoxy and let that dry, and then hopefully we will be done, but we'll see. All right, so stay tuned for the next step, you guys. All right, you guys, we're back. We are on to our last coats of epoxy. So I have about 20 mLs mixed here. However, I'm not going to use all of that. And what I did, just to give the cup some sparkle, I actually mixed just a tad of Smog from Feather Bear Bling in here. So it's just going to give my epoxy just a little bit of sparkle to this cup, which I love. So this is Smog by Feather Bear Bling, and it's actually like a gold epoxy additive. All right, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put my little finger glove on, because this is how I save on money, because y'all know natural gloves are very expensive. So I'm just gonna take my finger and just cover the cup in the beginning. So before the epoxy, I actually sealed the cup with the Quick Coat by CCDIY, and that just is gonna keep my vinyl decals from lifting. So I'm just coating the cup all over, just to get it going. And then what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna start taking some of this excess off. Epoxy additive is just giving my cup some sparkle. I don't know if you can see it from up there, but I tried and do a zoom in so you guys can see what I mean. It is so pretty. So like I said, if you see my other videos, I actually take my cups off just to keep some of that stainless steel exposed at the top and the bottom. And what I'm doing here, I actually left a line between the top and the bottom just to seal this glitter in. So I'll remove the tape. I have that perfect line. Got a good seal at the top and the bottom. So see me running my finger along here? That's what I'm doing. All right. So I'm going to take a lot of this off because I want a thin coat. And like I said, I normally apply about 2 to 3 coats on my finished tumblers just to ensure that everything is sealed in. And when I notice when I apply very thin coats, I don't have any bubbles. Well, very minimum bubbles. Just what works for me. I know a lot of people just do a lot of stuff different, but like I said, as a tumbler maker, you have to find what works for you. All right, so we're gonna let this spin for about 4 hours, and then we're gonna let it cure for about 12 hours before moving on to the next step. All right, stay tuned, you guys. We are done with this tumbler, and it turned out amazing. It was very, very fun to make. So like I said, the gold with the red, I just really think it was a nice compliment in creating a Valentine's peekaboo tumbler. It was so much fun. So I'm really excited to see how you guys create your own version of a peekaboo tumbler. And if you have questions, regarding this tumbler, please don't hesitate to post those questions in the comments below, and I'll be more than glad to answer those questions for you. So as always, I like to leave you guys with a quote of motivation, a positivity quote or something like that at the end of my videos. So the quote for today's video is, "Don't be the same, be better." I really love that quote, and I hope that it inspires you to keep making tumblers on your tumbler making journey as well. And as always, please don't forget to click that like and subscribe button and that thumbs up button so you won't miss out on any of my future content. And I will see you in the next one, but until then, stay blessed.